Good, good, good. It sounds like they're doing a snowblower over. What's going on out here? Yep. We had a winter storm come in uh, last night. It's pretty cold. It was -6 with the wind chill of like -17 or something like that. Anyways, it's one of those snowblower things that you go on the sidewalk and it blows the snow off the. Let's just see before I begin. Let me use the restroom real quick, and then as we wait for everybody to pile in, and then we'll start our discussion Q&A. All right, we are back. We are back. 32 people, good. Let me get my glasses on. I had a dream last night about these things where I broke them, and I had to go get new glasses. Man, that noise is so annoying. It reminds me when we used to live in California. We had gardeners, and it sounds like the leaf blower. And they would come like a couple times a week. And that noise, it's so jarring to me. And this leaf blower would just, obviously he was getting paid hourly, so he just blow leaves around, racking up his hours. And I don't know what it is, but that noise, it drives me crazy. Let's see what this guy's doing. What? Why is he... Oh, it is a leaf blower. So it's not the... It's not the one that you... Like a mower that you do and it shoots. He's literally going on with a leaf blower trying to blow the snow off the sidewalk. Ugh. I can't think. Can't hear myself think. And of course, I got like PTSD over this because it seemed like it was always in California, like when I was trying to take a nap and I couldn't take a nap because of the sound. Yeah, that Crucible raid was great. I want to give a shout out to Rachel and Andy for doing the raid. That really helped. It was a wonderful opportunity to, be a witness for Orthodoxy. And so really thankful for that. And yeah, we've been stuck. I don't know what's going on, but we've been stuck at like 12K for like a long time. I don't know if being, what do they call it, shadow banned, or they're taking off subscribers or something like that, but just been stuck. And so if you could haven't subscribed or liked, please do. Remember, this Friday we'll be doing Return to Orthodox Catechesis. Hopefully I'll be doing that in person. I always like being, in person with my parishioners. And they were raving about it at church. They were like, 1,000 people came in. And so they were all stoked about it. Let's see. Couple different things to talk about. today. Don't forget Montanica. Tickets are up. They've been up since the first week of January, basically. We have added new. Let's see. I'll just pop this up real quick. We've added new stuff. Uh-oh. I'm not supposed to look. I'm working on my type. Looks like it's good. Yeah, I just had to shut down my OBS. One second. I don't know what happened. It just like I couldn't do anything. It just froze. Let's see. Fit the screen. Let's do capture. I wanted to do this. One second, I'm just fitting. Something happened. All right, there we go. 128 days left of the conference. Therapia, it's going to be the best one yet. And again, we'll be doing a monastery tour Thursday, but His Grace Bishop Maxim, who's under the conference is on the forum, is our keynote speaker. Father Vasilios from Athens. Look at that. I just found a typo. Oh. Remind me to go in there and fix that. Father Panagiotis, myself, and then we have the workshops. Father Russell, Father Andrew, Father Turbo, Sarah, Barry, and Gil, who are both therapists that attend our parish. And there's the events, but right now until March 31st, so just less than 2 months, you can get the discounted ticket from $185 down to $160. We did secure our deal. The first 100 people will get the Montanica bag. So we're encouraging you to register. If you're after 100, you're not going to get the swag bag. But we did secure our deal with Best Western, so you have a discount over $75 off. Right, and they just remodeled the hotel. It's fantastic. It's really close to the parish, and it's where His Grace will be staying too. All of us will be staying there. There is the free camping option, but after March 31st, regular tickets will go up to $185. If you're a company or know somebody that would like to sponsor, you can go on there and scan that code there, and we have different packages there, and access and exhibits and stuff. If you are a company or know one that wants to sponsor, we've already, as far as our sponsors, where are they? Let me refresh this because I have put our sponsors up there. St. Herman's Studio, and of course Laura Coffee. And then we have our live professional bluegrass band that was so successful, and they were such great musicians. Well Beaten Path was a local group around the Helena and Butte, Anaconda area that will be doing the concert again, and perhaps another local bluegrass band to follow after. And there you can listen to them. And this is actually a scene of some famous stuff in Butte. Like the mine, and then the Our Lady of the Rockies, Meadows Bank, and stuff like that. So go ahead and check that out. and get your tickets while they are still available. St. Herman's, one of our sponsors here, that does the engraving icons there. And then, of course, Laura Coffee, that will be our sponsor that we do a collab with. All right, moving on. Let's see if we have any questions. The dates are for Houston event. Thursday, it starts the readings, I think, at noon. Holy Protection. Thursday the 13th. Beach Nut in Houston. And then Friday starts the 14th, the Papers. Starts with the Hierarchical Liturgy in the morning. Then Papers, 14th through 15th. Hierarchical Liturgy ending the conference on the 16th. Let's see if we have any super chats. All right, let's see here. Dave donates $10. Dave the Flipping. Thank you so much, Dave, for your support there. Let's see. Interesting news today. I want to go over a few topics, but do you guys have any questions before we go over anything at all? All right, let me do this real quick. 1 second. I'm saving this correction before I forget. All right, publish. All right, that's taken care of. I've fixed the typo. Yeah, I've got it later today. Finish. There's a few things on the paper I want to tidy up. People were asking, are you going to publish that? No, it's too complicated for you to understand, so I can't. This is not for public consumption. You have to be part of the elite crowd of... Yeah, maybe I'll publish it. It would only be after I present and get some feedback and tidy up some more. Well, what is going on? No questions? We got 41. Let's get those numbers up. Somebody has questions about essence energy distinction. Okay, go ahead. Shoot. Yes. Yeah, some people running around saying you partake of the essence of God. You never partake of the essence of God. You partake of his energy, divine energies. Pray for Savo who died. That's... Yeah, God bless. The family and prayers and memory eternal. It's pretty... I mean, the essence energies doesn't have to be confusing. One of the things is, I recommend stop listening to people online. This is what I don't... It's like, people are their worst enemies. It's... People do everything... they can to make things much more difficult and confusing for... So why people are listening to people on Twitter and online who have no ecclesial episcopal blessing to teach, are not qualified to teach. Everybody's got their opinion. So And we're going to talk about that too today. It's really kind of this Protestant Americanism that we have this free market of just online Orthodox content creators and online Orthodox Twitter people, and you just pick your favorite people. You've seen lists going around on Twitter like lady recommending a bunch of different Orthodox lady accounts and stuff. Like, follow this person. Why are lady recommending to follow Orthodox and get Orthodox lady and get their theology? And why are you doing it all alone? It's not free market capitalism. Choose your favorite product out there. And then what happens? People get all confused over, well, this person said this. And it's like, well, yeah, like, why are you listening to, of course, lady can be right. I mean, people can be, but again, how do we make it efficient in terms of your learning? What are good prescriptions for, going forward and learning Orthodox theology and not getting confused? That's one of them. What do we always say? First of all, get plugged into a parish. Get properly catechized. Be under a priest. All right, now you're not under obedience as lady or something like that. But we talked about this in the catechesis program too, that part of coming to knowing God is, and I'll just read here from last Friday. Where was it? What was calling about the nature of God? Where is it? Having a guide. Where is it? Problem is, I was reading it off the computer and now I can't find. Not doing it alone. Maybe it's on this page. Okay, but even within the boundaries which were given in the light of divine revelation, we must follow the guidance of those who have purified their minds by an elevated Christian life and made their minds capable of contemplating exalted truths. That is, we must follow the guidance of the fathers of the church. So we're finding the fathers, which we read too, but like the fathers, the priests as well. You don't see that people are doing this online. It's free market capitalism. Pick your favorite online Orthodox Twitter or content provider and get confused. So it's really easy with the essence energies. You never partake of God's divine essence. You partake of his energies. You participate in his energies. So somebody asked the question, where was it? When St. John says God is love, would that be partaking of his energy? Yes. And do we always speak about his essence apophatically? We went over this last catechesis. There is a cataphatic aspect of speaking about the essence, but it never reveals anything about what the essence is in itself. So, for example, we're revealed that the essence is inseparable from the divine energies. the same way that Christ, assuming human essence and the divine essence are united, the essence and the divine energies are united. Now that's a positive. That's not saying anything negative. It's not negative theology. We're also told that the essence is simple, undivided. So those are positive words, but it's apophatic in the sense that we don't know what that means in itself. Okay. Let me go to another question. You are submit to kings, yes. The best thing is that's a complicated question too. Can you ever have any legitimate notion of kind of revolt or like forming your own nation? It seems theoretically possible, but it's complicated. It's a really complicated. So I don't really have a clear answer to especially with the United States was. It wasn't like they were in Britain itself. They were in a colony, right? And the various it's a complex issue. So I don't. Obviously, I think monarchy's better, but the British monarchy, satanic. Like, it's not. So it's not quite clear. I think there are cases where it is justified. But it doesn't mean that we don't follow there isn't legitimacy to the autonomy of the United States. The best, even if there's mistakes made and stuff like that, the fact of the matter is, like, it's the nation that you live under. Doesn't matter, like, the history or, and we live in a fallen nature. There's no perfect kind of government, and you're bound as a citizen to follow the orders and the ruler of, so long as they're not getting you to do something contrary, forcing you to do something contrary to God's law and the church. But this is the Orthodox Church and society, the basis for social concept of the Russian Orthodox Church. So again, like I said, it's complicated. Like, the British monarch's a satanic, and has been for a long time. I don't know how much better a Masonic, deistic, Enlightenment, United States is, but the fact of the matter is you're under the rule. God allowed that and authorized. So, but yeah, good question. Let me see if we got any more super chats. I always give those priorities as far as answering questions. I'm trying to find something for you guys. Let's see. Any super chat questions? Send in your super chats. Where is this tweet? I want to pull it up. I'm trying to pull this up for later. I want to. Here it is. All right. Got some real issues with online orthodoxy. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of stuff to cover. Decimus donates $5. Thank you. How does one address clergy? Is there a difference between deacons and priests? Yeah. In Orthodoxy, deacons are part of the priesthood, often called priests, but not presbyters. But in terms of ranking in the priesthood, because of the threefold office of the priesthood, diaconate, presbyter, and episcopos, bishop, obviously they have different authority and ability to do stuff functionally. A deacon, although being part of the priesthood and ordained through here, and Hierarchia, the laying on of hands within the altar, offers with the priest, but cannot do anything without the priest as far as the offering. They cannot administer sacraments by themselves. If they get a blessing from the priest or bishop, they can administer the Eucharist and communion, but they cannot consecrate. They can aid in the consecration and call down the Holy Spirit with the priest. So they're doing an offering with the priest. They can handle the gifts. They can consume the chalice and stuff like that. But they don't. Beyond that, they can, as far as baptism, marriage, they can't. They aid the priest. They cannot do that by themselves. The priest can't either without the antimons and the authorization of the bishop. But the bishop doesn't have to be there. Antimons means in place of. In place of the bishop, he gives a signature and the priest stands in. How do you address deacons and priests and bishops can vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. The Serbians do not call deacons priests or fathers. In the other Slavic, both in Romanian and Russian, they do. They're called fathers or father deacons. There's more emphasis on the deacons being a priest and part of the priesthood. I think the Greeks too as well. Deacons do not bless, so you don't say Father bless to a deacon. That's why for example, doing like a reader's service, where you go, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and ever into the ages of ages, amen. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. You would say to the priest, Father bless, and he would say, O Lord, look down upon, right, bless the food and drink, so that he would actually do a blessing. Deacons can't do that. So what you say is, oh Lord, bless, and then the deacon do a prayer, like, Lord, bless but it's not the deacon blessing. Lord, bless the food and drinks of thy servants. You don't kiss the deacon's hand. I know Russians have a tradition of doing that because the deacon holds, so it's not a big deal. There's just different traditions but you would say, you address father deacon or father, depending on what jurisdiction or tradition you're in. You do ask the priest for the blessing. And if the bishop's there, you do not ask the priest for a blessing. You go to the bishop. Does that help? Okay, so Nate Dogg donates $10. Hi again. I tried to go to an Orthodox service Sunday, Yes, we are Orthodox Catholic. That's just the name of the Catholicos, right? We believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. As long as it doesn't say Byzantine Catholic or something like that, Byzantine Rite, like there's nothing wrong with saying we are the Eastern Orthodox Catholic Church. And you can always look up online too and see like what the jurisdiction, are they a legitimate canonical church? So thank you, Nate Dogg. Let me look at. I mean, priests aren't infallible too. So, I mean, this is the hard thing. Is just going to go into what I'm talking about online. We don't have clericalism. Well, the priest said, so he's infallible and must. However, you can't do it alone. You shouldn't be getting advice, certainly spiritual advice from laity. And they shouldn't be teaching, you shouldn't be getting your theology from. Now, I think online it would be best if people didn't actually even talk about that, because it becomes really convoluted that, well, what constitutes as teaching? Well, if you're not saying, from what I understand of the Orthodox Church, this is what we learned in catechesis, if you're saying this is the position, we believe in penal. If you have people online like we've seen this week going full blown Augustine, I love Saint Augustine, but he was wrong on issues. If you go full blown into penal substitution, like you're obviously teaching. If you go into areas that are actually and start giving commentaries on positions that are actually quite complicated, you're teaching, right? If you don't present it that I am not in a position to actually say, but this is what I've learned and this is what I believe that the Orthodox believe. But I could be wrong, ask a priest. You are teaching. So some of this stuff's just better not to be discussed online unless, like myself, you have a blessing, or like you go to people that are, under authority, right? And ask these kinds of questions. We got a super chat. Let me read it real quick. Not Strong donates $20. Thank you. Father, what is your impression of the book, The Bible of the Holy Fathers for Orthodox? And the Holy Father, 1 second. This one? Here? The Bible and the Holy Fathers. It's great. It's really good. I recommend. This was a gift from my goddaughter, one of my goddaughters, and I don't know how expensive it is, but yeah, I'd recommend that. Thank you for that. Some Exegesis Schofield is raised. Oh, I didn't read that. I don't know why. I'll actually have to look at that. That is concerning. All right. Shall we go back to... So where was I? Priests are fallible. They can be wrong. You as laity are not under obedience, but you should be under a guide. You should, right? Priests are guiding and advising. Laity are always free. You're not baptized into a jurisdiction either. You're free to, people are like, oh, I'm traveling, I have to go to an Antiochian church. I'm like, you're baptized in the Orthodox Church. It might be at a particular jurisdiction, but you're not clergy. You're not bound. Now, you might have certain kind of duties as a tithing member or that community, but like you're free to go wherever you want. So, again, the prescribed way is you follow a spiritual father or confessor and your priest. They can be wrong about stuff. But it's sort of like, the way I think about it is like a hospital. Let's say you have to go like for heart surgery or something like that. Well, you go to a heart surgeon who went to med school and had these different qualifications, is under a certain kind of, a medical board, and right. They're accountable. Now, can they mess up? Of course they can. But does that mean, well, therefore I'm going to go to somebody who's never went to med school to have heart surgery just because it's possible they could do it? It's like, yeah, it's possible. It's just not it's not wise. And there's a prescribed way. So we have a prescribed way in Orthodoxy, the way learn. And then also, too, the priests are accountable. And the priests, there's a sort of, consensus among clergy, too. Just as there's consensus in the fathers. That's why, for like, you're some random internet dude on Twitter saying non-Orthodox stuff, and you want to engage in an argument. But the thing is, don't you find it odd that, because this was brought up too, that it was a Protestant, so just because your clergy is right, I'm like, no, but I'm not talking about myself. Don't you find it odd when you look at all the clergy and they all have the same position? That's a consensus. Now, is it theoretically possible they're all wrong? Theoretically, but it's highly unlikely that all of the clergy that match the consensus of the fathers, too, are all wrong, but I'm a random dude on Twitter and I'm right. Highly unlikely. Because, again, the consensus of just living priests right now isn't an ecumenical council, but, again, that's far more... There is a level of normatively binding upon, right? The priests are all saying the same thing. And you're the outlier. Okay, so consensus among clergy is also part of the prescribed way too. How do I learn? Like, how do I know? Like, one individual priest might be wrong about it. It's like, well, are they an outlier? Do they fit a consensus? Is this even categorically in the position of dogma, praxis, or theologumena? That's another thing. Like, what category am I analyzing this in? So, I would say perhaps your priest with the... Obviously, I don't agree that, like, should you not be online, or should Orthodoxy not have anything online? Like, no, that seems extreme. I would say that, no offense to your priest, that seems to be an outlier position on a theologumena issue that's not dogma. That's beyond what the consensus of most clergy would actually say. But he's right about, like... So... for the most part, it isn't good. But... What's the phrase? The genie's out of the bag, the idiom. The internet's already there. It's almost unavoidable. retrospect, if hindsight 2020, if you could be like, would you ever release the internet knowing all the problem? Maybe not. There's also the upshot. I mean, if you had to list pros and cons, and I don't know, I'd probably be more tempted to say that the cons outweigh the pros. But obviously, one of the pros is it's made it easier to get information out. More people are finding orthodoxy through that as a pro. I don't know how you really kind of analyze, like if there's a formula, like a utilitarian formula, which you could weigh the pros and cons and how you actually figure that out. Also, I think those who are qualified and blessed to actually do debates, that's been extremely fruitful too. It doesn't win over the debater. People always get this confused. What's so harsh? Debate's harsh and mean. You're never gonna win them. It's like that's not the purpose of debate. Never has been. Always going all the way back to antiquity. Debate is a public. The public is the audience. So that you're debating two worldviews or positions, and the public can see, well, this one's really bad. Like it doesn't make, or this one's better. It's for the public, and I think that that's been extremely successful if done right. So it's hard. I get, Jeb, what your priest is saying too. Like, yeah, maybe for the most part, the internet causes a lot of problems, but it's out there. It's impossible to regulate. The best that we can do, and this is part of what I'm talking about today, is advise as clergy. But you're all free. You're all free to make mistakes. As Father Russell says, I just don't advise it. Clergy can't be totalitarians and force you into not doing stuff and doing other stuff. You're not under obedience, and so it's really difficult. You follow the advice of clergy. All right. The Serbian parishes are great. Can't say enough good things about the Serbian parishes. I'm happy to be serving in one right now under Bishop Maxim. Jeb asks, "What did I already answer this? I know he doesn't." Yeah, you don't participate in the essence, but the essence is there, but you don't see it. You don't comprehend it. You don't know it. But it is inseparable. So therefore, what you partake and participate is in the energies. That's it. It's not as hard as you think. Moving on. The other thing too is most, forgive me for saying this, it's not a knock, but just a fact. Most priests have a boomer mentality that they're not familiar with the internet, the language. They don't spend time on. It's totally foreign. And so it's really easy when you don't understand something and you don't spend all your time in learning. Like, for example, I'm constantly online with the different projects. I'm on Discord. I'm listening to people. I know how they talk, how they think, right? I'm hearing various issues that come up. And it helps me get an idea of like, well, how do I reach people? Where they're at? What's the sort of language? Just as St. Gregory the Theologian says, when speaking to the philosopher, we're just, we speak in philosophy that we may win the philosopher over. I have to I think there's an importance. It's not for everybody to be able to do this, but to be able to know the culture and times and place through the internet, that we may win those who are brought up on the internet over to Christ and plug them into parishes, right? So the easiest thing to do is, I don't understand it, I don't think it's good, so what do? Just wave it aside. It's all bad and we should just get, orthodox. That's the easy answer. The hard answer is that, yeah, it's got huge problems. But especially the Z generation are internet children. They're raised, I was born, where the internet was introduced later in life. So on boomers, even farther out, the hard work is to be involved in that and be like, okay, what do we do now? How do we reach? How do we get and draw people by advising and guiding them to spend less time on the internet and move into a life of service incarnationally in one's parish? That's the difficult part. Let's see. All right, moving on. Moving on up. Testament's $5 again. Thank you. I need to find a godparent and work 60-hour week. That's a hard question. My advice, I'd go to the priest and be like, are there a couple different recommendations of a good fit? A good fit. And then go from there, because like you said, if you're not going to have enough time to kind of figure that out. I mean, reach out to the priest and ask them, who do you think would be a good godparent? I've seen that happen. Okay, 1 second. Am I ever going to get to my point? I don't know. I'm thinking through. Here's one thing I want to say. I saw somebody had posted or tweeted something about, and these are the things that I'm thinking about. Stuff that I see online, and then I go back and think from like a pastoral and position in terms of healing and solutions from what clergy could do. But you have to have your ears and eyes on the ground and be like, what is going on the internet streets? And I I thought about a couple different things this week. I saw somebody, I wonder how many people would have these disagreements with each other at coffee hour. Now, that revealed something to me. I'm like, first of all, a naivete. And number two, it illustrated again this idea of this kind of Protestant Americanism, capitalistic free market, was just all these different groups out. They're like cliques in high school, and they're just disagreeing. And I wish all the ortho people online could just get along. Well, first of all, that reveals you just have this like, pick your favorite content provider, pick your favorite ortho Twitter. There's something incorrect about that. I don't know exactly what the solution is but number two, you're just being naive. A lot of those people you're talking about having disagreement, like, I feel like asking, so you think somebody's going to stop being a heretic when they're drinking coffee at coffee hour? Some of these people, as we'll see, um, are absolute subversives. They have lied about clergy, tried to get them, in trouble, fired from their jobs. Like, you mean those people, they just automatically turn out to be nice people at coffee hour? People who teaching heresy online, who are subversives, lying, um, absolute shame the stuff that they've actually said about clergy and done. What is the matter with you? Like, this is really, really naive. Um, it isn't just competing group. And again, a lot of this could be solved as, why are you listening to Orthodox online? Shouldn't you be? I mean, there are clergy online, and there's even laity who are brought in under, kind of sanctioned, uh, reputable clerical online stuff, and who have a blessing and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about people doing it on their own with no accountability, being able to say whatever they want. And then you're getting upset. Well, they're all disagree. It's like, you just get rid of it. Just go to the prescribed way, just like you would going to the hospital, the heart surgeon. Does it mean that clergy are infallible? No. But like, again, it would just solve a lot of problems. So I was thinking about that. And I want to bring up something that I've noticed. In that vein, there is a real, I'd say it's a combination of, so part of these people have said, like, there are people out there that are obviously, even if they're pretending, are not good people. It's not simply they're just getting something theologically wrong. These people are lying and slandering, creating libel against priests, trying to get them in trouble. What did we see this week? They went after Father Moses. Right? And I'll bring up here. They found Father Moses's video offensive. The hot versus holy. There's a couple different things that I would say. First of all, what I've noticed over and over again, we have a bunch of people online who are Orthodox that are tone policing priests. Oh, it's so wrong for a priest to. Who are you? Who are you in a position to actually. And it's always this fake moral piety, right? And that is a typical left. It's not just a dark triad trait. That's typically what left, liberal, Democrat, right? So people were getting upset that people were calling out, like, the people that brought this up with Father Moses, guess what? They're liberal, Orthodox, feminist, pro Skittles. That's not a coincidence. Ideologically, in terms of character, there's a reason why people do. And so even if you're conservative, if you're using this tone policing, oh, it's just so bad that a priest would say, if they're not gentle and meek all the time, then that's behavior unbecoming of a clergy. Well, first of all, I guarantee you, you're not in a moral or character position to be able to make those judgments and discernments. Number two, weaponizing morality to go after somebody that you don't like under the guise of piety is pharisaical and evil. And it's typically what left and liberal engage, and we can go into the history, like why politically this happens in terms of ideologies that historically liberals, the Democrats, and the left have kind of embraced, and that's an interesting conversation. But I want to go here. I want to look and see this. Maybe it wasn't on this one. So I posted, I want to find, it might be on Patristic Faith. Yeah, here we go. Let's take I'm going to just give you an illustration of what is going on. If I can get this going. And how I think this ties into a lot of stuff. But let's see if you guys have. I want to read you something. Also, this whole idea, not only is it very effeminate to be like, oh, patient, kind, meek, gentle. First of all, I'll talk about weaponizing that. Where it's like, you're saying that. It's the same way that atheists are like, oh, they don't even believe in the Bible. And what do? They use the Bible. Well, you're said not to judge, right? Don't let these people get away with. They're emotionally manipulating you by weaponizing morality. They don't care about you. Well, I'm convinced most of these people aren't even offended by Father Moses' video. They already hated him. I've seen it over and over again. It's not about the content or the particular thing that they're bringing or the clipping or lying about or whatever they're doing. They're not interested in finding out, was this actually true or false? Was it appropriate or not? They don't care. They already hate these people. And they'll use anything and everything to use it against the priest or whoever they're hating and going after. That's why it is a dark tragedy, a Machiavellianism. And they hide the crime by putting in the Pharisaical moral piety, right? That's an attempt to kind of hide what they're actually doing. If you have enough experience with this, you can see it right away. And that's why I always appreciate Jay. The polemics that he uses, people were like so mean, like, no, but it exposes the con. I'm not saying everybody can do this. It takes a level of experience and discernment. But most people are putting a mask on, pretending to be pious, Orthodox Christians and nice, and they're a demon behind the mask. And when you use this sort of straightforward, what would seem to be harsh and unchristian, impatient language, it's for the purposes, oftentimes, and you can mess up on it. That's just saying, like, don't everybody do this. I'm not recommending it. I'm just defending there is a legitimate use of it. It exposes it, brings out the con. But what was I just going to pull up? I don't remember. I'll pull up I was going to look something up and show it to you, but I support Father Moses. That's my deal. I stand with Father Moses. So I want to just show you the type of person that tried to get Father Moses in trouble, and the type of people that I've been noticing online. We have this lady here. This is how she speaks to clergy. Latoya Hamlin. I don't even know who this is, but you are foolish. So you have your choice. You can find a woman who probably has no credentials whatsoever in terms of discernment and virtues. I mean, I don't know, right? Calling out clergy that they're fools, right? So that's what I mean is I might be a fool. I've messed up. But what are the odds that all of us clergy standing behind the same, holding the same positions as Father Moses versus, right, who have had experience working with these issues, priests that are far more advanced than I am. We're all wrong, but Natoya Hamlin, this lady, is right. She has the spiritual virtues and the experience working with clergy and theology and praxis to actually know and make these judgments. So his other videos are already pretty questionable, but he made a video, Hot Crazy Matrix. I don't see what's objectively... There are real issues with that stuff. Okay? This isn't objectifying. It's quantifying that, like, again, he didn't say this lady is an 8. But you get the idea. Like, each person in their mind can, like, has... Well, yeah, this woman's more attractive. She's really attractive. Well, there's dangers. As far as clergy have pointed out that, look, as far as holy and what would I give advice? So that was objectifying women. That was, and again, the joke was that the matrix that a secular society had made, Father was appropriating that and being like, look, there's a way to, like, a Christian could understand that as far as, is this risky? Is this, I mean, is there not a greater or less within terms of women as being attractive versus, some women are more holy than others, and how would I analyze that? That's all he was doing. And so, I mean, you can already tell. I mean, we should ask this lady too, why don't you just tell us how you vote? And then that'll give me, this is like a kind of a pre-supping. You give her a questionnaire on liberal, because that will form how manosphere, right? This is all leftist liberal language. I don't know. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. But again, in my mind, this would be red flags that, well, first of all, I've already been able to tell you, you've made an incorrect judgment. In my mind, I would say why. Well, there's several reasons why anybody would make an incorrect judgment. It usually has to do with, certain presuppositions and prior background beliefs that inform or misinform and make you err in judgments. So, I'd like to add, like, yeah, how do you vote? What do you think about certain just politically? That might actually tell, because who uses manosphere? That's a red flag. It's not a joke. I just explained to you it is and it isn't. And then what? I've spoken to Father on X, and he's hyperfixated on liberals infecting the church. Yeah, it's a serious problem. You don't see the problem. Red flag number 2, you're probably a liberal. This notion of, it's paranoia, right? And it isn't like, I have no problem with the liberals coming to church. Like I was telling somebody, all parishioners have weird and dumb ideas. They should be in church and being healed. But what Father's talking about, there are people who are purposely subverting, who are liberals, coming in, writing these articles, reporting, right? So that's what he's actually talking. That is not paranoia. That's what this woman says. Kids here. I mean, you have to be absolutely blind to not see this is actually happening, which this lady is, which shows that you're probably a liberal. Father's probably right. If you get the wrong answer on this stuff, it's because you have a liberal ideology. Look at this. He claims so Saint said that Eve ate the apple to dominate the hut. Well, there's truth in that. It was an inversion. Ask her, is the man supposed to be the head of the house? Or what? Is it generally a good idea that women are in the workplace? Is feminism good, right? You need to ask these people these kind of presuppositional. Not only do I stand with Father Moses, I actually sit with him too. Somebody said that was a good. Did he get a blessing for his bishops before posting? That's not how it works, lady. Julianne. And she looks exactly like Denver Seminary. So, are you even Orthodox? But you look exactly like the people we're critiquing. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times. But I will correct you on what's publicly accessible to me. And this comment here. Did you get a blessing? Do you think that we clergy go, you know what? I need to go call my bishop to get a blessing to go to Home Depot and post everything. You get a general blessing to do a ministry online. I just think practically there's no way the bishop wants to know, let alone practically be able to, like, well, I better go run every single thing that I post beyond. That's why they give you a blessing to do an online ministry. Which is exactly. Veronica understands this. He has over 120K followers on YouTube. Pretty sure he's got Bishop's approval. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't hysterical. All right, I want to bring up a point. I was thinking about this just epistemologically. Offensive-based, misogynistic view of women, which is gynocentrism theory. The theory that infected the I told you right-wing discourse. Especially going to use alt-right and the R word in this. That's all I need to know, that whatever your take's going to be, it's wrong. You're so polluted and infected by liberal ideas. Are the misogynists in the room right now, or the alt-right? I mean, number two, absolutely no objective argument. It's all reduced to subjective feelings. How are you going to prove... So you personally had a feeling that you felt is offensive does not mean, or I believe it's misogynist. That is not an argument. It's literally a subjective feeling. No many people have given any objective argument. And again, I can tell you psychologically and philosophically why you're offended. It's because you hold wrong views in terms of politics and, you know, like, obviously this lady's a feminist. I mean, using this... I mean, these terms are so... They love weaponizing these... You're misogynist. Do you know what misogyny means? A hatred towards women. I mean, so what happens then is these people are trying to force the hierarchs to deal with the priests and what they post based off of liberal women screaming and crying, being a Karen. And we're going to have to come out, and there's going to be a policy, at least for Record, that clergy guidelines, there should be online guidelines for clergy that aren't the problem. The nutcases are online. Now, the difficulty is it's obviously a lot easier to priests are under authority and obedience, so they can be controlled. Laity can't. So that's the conundrum. It's like, well, what do we do with late? Like, the problem about regulation isn't clergy. I haven't seen clergy like online just being like, my gosh, that's just, somebody got to do something about. All I've seen is crazy lady online. If there were any regulation, it would be there, but we can't really, like, how do you regulate that? Like, what are your thoughts on? But that's the huge issue. Let's see what we got going in the chat. Oh, I remember what I was looking up, because I'm looking at Jab. You know, love is patience, love is kind, and stuff like that. I think, you know, Jay Dyer's so mean. Oh, Deacon, you shouldn't have said that. That's not conduct becoming a clergy. Father Moses, you shouldn't have said that. Father Barnabas Powell, they're going off on. Notice all these people do is attack clergy. These Karens, feminists, they're not attacking liberal ideologies and secularism and Skittles coming into. In fact, they support it. They're attacking clergy. And they're weaponizing, saying they're mean and harsh. Right? And I'm going to go to something else in a second. But St. Paul does say, love is patient, love is kind. We're to be gentle and kind with meekness. But it's very Protestant to think that that is an absolute. In ethics, what's called an absolute rule is that a rule is applied everywhere, always, at the same time, in all places. It's the stringency. That's a very Protestant way of thinking about. Call no man father. The Bible says that you always do it's like absolutely no nuance at all. But let's turn to Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time for everything. And a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. A time to be silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. As I repeat, there's a time for everything under the sun. And that's the hard part. That's where virtue and discernment and experience come in. I get it. A lot of young guys out there that, you know, they're being told you always have to be gentle. You can never be mean and speak right. They've been tone policed. They've been controlled. They've been threatened. Right, people's jobs. If you don't speak the new speak, you don't speak this way, you're out. And it's really easy to want to rebel against the whole thing. And be like, no, I will not keep quiet. I get it. You will not control my language. You will not tell me what to do. That's easy. Now, in principle, yes, it can't control. The hard part is, Aristotle says, it's easy to be angry. The hard part is to be angry at the right time, in the right measure, in the right situation, with the right people. That's hard. That takes experience. It's hard to know when to go to war and when to be peaceful, when to shut your mouth, but when to speak and be like, you can't tell me what to do. When to be harsh, when to be gentle and meek, when to tear stuff down, and when to mend, and to heal people, when to crush paradigms versus when to evangelize, when to build, when to tear, when to weep, when to laugh. That's hard. It takes experience. And even the experienced get it wrong. But there isn't any such thing that you have to be gentle and meek with everybody and turn the other cheek. Somebody's coming, killing your family. Well, the Bible says. That's insane. Like, that's totally Protestant and foreign to Orthodoxy. So, again, these people are weaponizing Scripture and St. Paul and morality and our faith against you. Not because they actually care, but like, I wish he'd do better. Because they hate you. They want to destroy you. They will use anything against you. This is what we're seeing with when these people come after clergy. Most people. And you got to call it like, who are you? Just like they would say in the early centuries. Who sent you? Are you an apostolos? Who are you? Like, you know, I told you the story about some liberal dude on the lift with me a couple years ago starts telling me about Transformers. He was going off on all the liberal talking points, like the R stuff, alt-right, you know, conspiracy theorists. And I called out trans terrorism, and he flipped out. Like, the guy started, like, crying on the lift. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, what's the matter? Like, another sign of the demonic. Are you totally, like, I challenge your position, you're crying? Like a baby, dude? You're a 30-year-old man. What's the matter with you? Too much seed oils and phytoestrogens? What? And he starts to begin to lecture me on science. I'm like, you're going to lecture me on science? I'm like, you're not in a position. I called him out. I'm like, you are not in a position to tell me what's right or wrong. Oh, that's a philosophical thing, he said. He's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm a philosophy professor. Oh, really? I'm reporting you to your philosophy department. See, weapon, I'm like, he's an enemy. This guy's not somebody that wants dialogue, and they want power and they want to destroy your lives. Because you told them mutilating children is wrong. And brainwashing. And that this is a mental health problem. So I told him, I'm like, you're not in a position to tell me. And he's like, well, that's just fly. I'm like, I didn't say I wasn't in a position. I'm standing on the Orthodox paradigm. You're a secular liberal, like, you have to, don't let these people preach to morality. So what do we see? We see the same sort of secularism mindset come into the church. You're going to have a Karen feminist Skittles lady who hates people. I'm not saying that this lady, I can't judge her heart, but I know that exists out there. Lecture you on morality? Don't do it. Don't give these people. Let me see if we have any more super chats, and then we'll go back. Alan Yee donates $20. Thank you so much, Alan. I attended my first Divine Liturgy yesterday. Amazing people experience it come from a non-denominational. I'm never going back. Well, God bless you. Orthodoxy for the win. Well, let's pray for Alan. May the Lord continue to bless your journey. All right. Let me see if there's any other. Because sometimes they come in through this. Kristen does $50. Wow. Thanks for everything. Thank you. All right, let's talk about this. It's a very leftist liberal tactic. Weaponizing morality under the guise, I said it's a dark triad trade. More piety. Well, thank God. I don't talk that way. Can you imagine a deacon speaking this way? Can you imagine Father Moses, Father Barnabas Powell? Father Andrew speaking this way. Father Josiah. They did the same thing to Father Josiah. Gonna write a hit piece, right? We know what group they're part of. Orthodoxy and Dialogue, a lot of these people. Why? Because they want to destroy. They want to recreate and reform the church in their secular, atheistic, post-enlightenment, wokist ideology. That's what they want to do. I mean, you should really, remember when I recommended that documentary to Patrick on feminism and the trans stuff and all of this that goes into the it was called Wolves in Sheep's Clothes. It was a Roman Catholic kind of documentary that goes through the philosophy. Feminism is not pro-women. It's a hatred of the female. It's a hatred for hierarchy and order and everything against. It's a Promethean rebellion, neo-Gnostic system that is a Luciferian revolt against God and his created order. Just like Marxism is not a love of man and equality. It's based on hatred of hierarchy and God's created order. Just read Eric Vogelin on that. But thank you, Kristen, so much. Okay, let's look at an example. I want to show you. So if you remember a couple weeks ago that I'd made some comments critiquing some tweets, Protestantism, faith alone, and stuff like that. And you just get the worst people come out with the stupidest arguments. Part of that I created on because, again, just like public debate, I want the audience and public to see what sort of people they're sending, what sort of arguments they're giving, and how just dumb and ridiculous they are. It's a honeypot, which they fall into, and then the public gets to see, and it does make a difference. You know, there's people on the side, not everybody, but there's enough that it's worthwhile. The people on the sidelines are like, these people are ridiculous. This way of thinking's terrible. Anyways, the problem with Twitter and these different things is, unlike debate, a public debate, in which one person puts forward their thesis and the other one argues the antithesis of that, and there's a back and forth. The debate ends and you get on with your life. Go home and eat dinner with my wife and then prepare for classes. And can you imagine after the debate if the opponent had your phone and was just texting, oh, one more argument, you're an idiot because of this, blah, blah, blah. Right? And it just never, the 2-hour debate that you said in the public never ends. It's just back and forth that you couldn't actually live. It would be ridiculous. That's what Twitter and social media is like. It's like, I don't sit here. I have a life beyond the internet. I have a wife. I have parishioners. Those are my family members. I have the church, right? Those are my priorities. Second, my job. I have students. I have papers, right? Conferences to go to. I play music. I ski. I fish. You know, those things in those kind of descending order hold priorities for me. Not me waiting just for some 15-year-old to call me an idiot and get into and present his dumb argument. Forever back and forth with Twitter texts through texts to the end of ages. So, yeah, I shut it off or block. I'm like, yeah, okay. Once it's enough that the public can actually see how silly the other side is, it's enough for me to go, okay, I'm shutting her down. I'm not really interested in you. You're not you're nobody of concern. We're throwing pearls at swine at this point. You're getting the blocked. If you insult me and my right and the saints, if you lie about me, right, if you hurt my parishioners, you're getting the blocked. Like, you're not entitled to anything. But what I will do, I'll open up, because it's just fruitless at some point to keep it going. It's not cowardice. We could defend it. I've defended the Orthodox positions many times, over and over, right? I'm not falling for your stupid trap to engage in an endless back and forth on Twitter to the end of ages, and the rest of my life, the priorities of my life are destroyed. And it's taken away. Those are my most important thing. My wife's more important than a random guy with 136 followers on Twitter. Sorry. You're insane if you think I'm going to fall for that. But what I do, and Jay and I do this, will be nice. Set aside some time. We'll do a 4 to 6 hour open X space where you can come on and make your case. You can tell me how. You can even insult me at a certain level. Make the case. Now, I'm not going to let you sit there and insult me forever. Like, you know, and if it gets too bad, obviously there's kind of some etiquette, but you be harsh towards me. I don't mind. You can make your case, and then we have a devoted time, right? And then move on. They never come on. These people throwing Twitter stones never come on and make, which reveals something. So, but I want to tie this in. I want to show you something. So what does that show? People are cowards. They're not concerned with truth. They don't have a position, a coherent position. They hate you. They don't like you. Not only they don't like your position, they just want to throw stones and hurt you. So then we get these orthodox, moral piety, dark triad trait folks come on, and this is what I get. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It relates to the Father Moses issue. So, all you throwing Twitter stones. So this was what? January 10th. Almost a month ago. Exactly what I said. Throwing Twitter stones and running away can now come on and make your case. Prove us wrong. Now prove that you're not bots or cowards. What do we get? We get an ortho moral piety, fake moral piety signaler. Why is a deacon on Twitter calling strangers cowards? Well, so here's this language that I'm talking about. Well, how I'm becoming that. I saw this guy's going to screenshot this and go around the internet, right? So, first of all, why are you talking to a deacon or any clergy this way? Who are you? Who gave you the badge to tone police clergy? So this guy's already revealed he's a bad actor. Like, here's a hater. Here's somebody that is Machiavellian, that will use anything and everything against you to try to get you in trouble, take you down, or poison the well, and create libel and slander against you. But I want to point out that is part of the perks of being clergy. If people have vices, whether it's cowardice, lack of integrity, rashness, whatever, pick one of the vices. I would think, isn't it the one group of people that should be able to call somebody that has the right and authority would be clergy? And you think that I'm being strong. You should see the other clergy and the stuff that I've seen people say straight to people's faces. You are not a person of integrity. You are a coward. Pull yourself together. But what? These people are Protestants at heart. They don't want to be called out. And they certainly don't. They're anti-hierarchical. Oh, I should do what thou wilt. How dare a clergy member say that there possibly could even be cowards on the internet, or that anybody. So this guy screenshots this and goes around trying to defame me. But I actually explained he's not even philosophically correct. First, I don't have to be personal friends with somebody and notice cowardice. And clergy are, and this is what I say, are usually in a better position to notice this and call it out. Second, logically speaking, if I ask people to prove they're not cowards, it doesn't mean there's even any existing cowards in the world. And philosophy and logic would call there could be a null class. There could literally be no cowards existing in the entire universe. You can still prove that you're not part of the null class. Guy likes it only to go use it and weaponize it against me. Why are you online policing? Exactly. And this guy, like, I blocked him because I realized, I'm like, he's an enemy. Like, these are the sort of people, this is what they do. I want to call that out so that you know who these people are. They hate priests. They're anti-hierarchical. They're moral piety signalers. They have leftist dark triad tactics and traits. I mean, shame on. So what I want to say is, it ain't the clergy online that are the problem. It's stuff like this. Right? One second. Now this Natoya girl, she's shilling. I mean, not shilling. What's the word? I'm plugging her whole thing on X. Oh, I did a whole thing on. So now it's all about her and her channel. All right. Questions, concerns. Wow. Octavian 99.99. God bless you so much. Thank you for all you. Thank you for your support. Jeb donates $20 again. Thank you. My deacon approached me and said I should get a blessing for sharing EO YouTube clips, and my priest doesn't like the internet. Feels like a suicide to approach my priest for a blessing. That's hard. You know, you'll be blessed if you're just obedient. You know, your priest could be possibly incorrect about that, but you know, there isn't like one way you could look at it is do you personally have to share that's interesting. I'm going to ask my spiritual father too, because one thing is like if you're doing it publicly, or like is it good for a priest to be like, you shouldn't, to advise don't share any YouTube videos on Eastern Orthodoxy to anybody privately. It doesn't seem like that's proper to give it like just a blanket. It'd be one thing to be like, well, to review it. What you could do too is ask him, find another a priest who might be able to review or get a blessing, and then ask your priest to be like, Father so and so, I don't want to put you guys against each other, but like he thought it'd be okay. Could I get the blessing to get his approval to his recommendation to you could do something like that where you're not usurping the priest's authority, but it's just like, well, there is this other priest and he said it was fine. Could I get a blessing like in light of that too? That's possible. It's hard for me to kind of give advice on that. It's a difficult situation, so I'd like to go to people who are more advanced, like my spiritual father and my confessor, the priest that maybe Father Russell, who I serve with, and get their thoughts on. And then, but thank you so much. So, just hold anything I said tentatively. Again, it's conditional upon like what my spiritual fathers and my father would, Russell would say on that. What else? I hate catfish. The only time I've ever actually liked cat, for somehow a way the Romanians can like cook it where it tastes like actually amazing, but yeah, just think about like, dude, there's not gonna be the end of the world that you personally don't share a video. There's enough people out there that are sharing stuff. Is made by Jim Bob doing? Yeah, it's a southern thing. I don't even know if we have any catfish up here. It's interesting. So, oh shoot, student's writing me something. Assignment 3 says it doesn't have any attachment. What I don't get, I just posted this assignment for the university I teach online in Maine this morning. There's no way they read that chapter and are doing. I get this like as soon as I post it, they'll find like there's some issue. I'm gonna read that. What are they talking about? They're incorrect. I don't know. Student says, week 3 assignments don't have an assignment attached. I was wondering if they just haven't been finished assigning the work or not. I got the most bizarre. I can tell you right now. Hello class, for this week, please read chapter 20, Moral Nihilism, in your textbook. Watch the pre-recorded video entitled Lecture 3, Week 3 at the bottom of your syllabus page. Then answer the discussion question. Students seriously make me feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It's always like that's like one of the worst parts about being a professor, like the weird emails of just, and they'll come back and be like, oh, this, you know what's good? That's what's good about screenshotting is, we can screenshot and be like, what are you talking about? I gotta be patient. I mean, look, I was talking to my mom about this, and Mama said that Mama said they're just children. Mama said they are. A lot of these people is like their first year in college. They haven't, so I should be more patient. But it is when you just get it over and over, and it's the same thing. Like the one that cracked me up at the university in Maine that I teach online, one of the universities there, it's week 3, right? We're 3 weeks into the semester, and I have people going, I can't find the book, the textbook. I was like, we've had 3 weeks of assignments from the textbook, like, and you're now telling me you don't have the, like, what have you been turning in? First of all, number 2, the very first assignments were to read the syllabus. It tells you the required. I even did an instruction video that I put up how to navigate Canvas, the things in the syllabus, and it was literally the very first assignment, and people were like 3 weeks later, like, I can't find the textbook, and I bought the wrong book. I'm like, well, why'd you bring the wrong book? Well, because the bookstore told me to get my. Well, don't listen to. It's like Twitter. Don't listen to people on. Like, the bookstore doesn't know what they're talking about. Your syllabus is a contract. We don't do anything beyond the syllabus. If the syllabus says get this book right here, that's the book. But I met a guy in a van down by the river, and he said, we're reading another book. Well, why are you listening to a creeper van dude by the river? Oh, that's interesting. David has a good question. Was it necessary for salvation? As in no other way, Jesus. I don't know. Like, salvation is what do they call is theologically conditionally necessary, given certain things. If salvation logically entails semantically that the union, if salvation is theosis, you're asking me, is it possible for man to be saved without theosis? Theosis, to be united to and elevated, can human nature be elevated to the divine without the union of the two natures in the incarnation? Like, I don't see how that's possible. Like, if that's what the terms mean. But beyond that, it's all speculation. Like, I don't. But I think Jesus could have come to the world, so it had to be her, had to be sinless. Doesn't Father Seraphim Rose have a book on the Theotokos, or the Orthodox view of Mary? Yeah, Bill Hicks has a good point. Clips from clergy, and that's what I'm thinking about too, is, again, it can only be in the sense that it's encouraged, it's advised by clergy, and it's encouraged by all of you, right? Because you can't actually gatekeep and be like, you're not allowed, and we're coming after you if you listen to these people online, Twitter, claim to Orthodox. There's a huge issue with the Latinizers, obviously, this week, and there's other groups, again, and people are like, I don't know who to listen to and what to. Why are all the groups and cliques in high school disagreeing? It's like, that's not what it is. So can we encourage, maybe we can all start working without forcing and dictating, move away from laity online, unless they're specifically associated with a reputable Orthodox company, Patristic Faith. I'll even say AFR, or some of the other, those are somewhat authorized, and I'm not like like only this one, only like. But do you see these are under Episcopal blessings? It's like, for example, we have a clergy advisory board. There's accountability, so that if somebody is laity, they really should be plugged into this. Put a team jersey on and be like, I work for this company. I'm accountable for what I say. Because otherwise, you should be just, apart from that, as far as online laity content creators, you should really just be going to clergy. That's why Bill Hicks has a good point. The clips and the work that we clergy do, whether it's, Father Josiah or, Bishop Aronay, as he pointed out there, it's hard to be as clergy be like, no, I don't recommend that. Especially when, again, they're not just priests out there doing their own thing, but like they have other priests. They're under, like a bishop's blessing, and just like Montanica. Why, like, it's under, it ain't me doing all this, like, I'm under accountability of what I do and say, and under the Omophoron of Bishop Maxim. So it's hard to, I would think, to speculate as a clergyman, would be like, no, I don't like clergy doing that, even though they're under accountability and under the bishop's blessing, because it's online. So maybe that could be a good way that, in fact, like I said, several priests use my catechesis program because they can't always, they'll bless their catechumens to get educated through that. I do know that Antiochian House of Studies even put the program on their seminary for some of the in some of the courses in the seminarians. So the fact that we kind of have that precedent that's actually happened might be a good argument to your priest to be like, look, multiple priests and even a seminary bless this to be used, as well as the bishops. Okay. But what do you think? I'm just brainstorming. I need kind of your feedback too. Is that a way? I mean, people are really getting confused online, and there are groups that are just ignorant and don't know what they're talking about, the confused people. But there's also groups that are subversive. That's why I brought up the whole coffee. I'm like, coffee hour and coffee aren't going to solve somebody if they have fundamental moral flaws and they hate you just because they're being nice to your face. So there's different groups and issues going on online. How do we help and heal people? How do we prevent people from getting, as much as possible, confused and be like, I don't know what ortho-clicked friends group to be a part of and listen to? How do we move away from that? How do we move to a more historically what would be prescribed way of learning, and that's hierarchical, that's therapeutic in terms of the pastoral, but at the same time, if somebody does have a talent and blessing that is laity, that can be authorized. My only thoughts are exactly what I said, like, without forcing people because they're laity and trying to gatekeep, to encourage people. We really encourage, as Orthodox, we really encourage following people who have the authors that has this kind of, under the professional auspice of, or a company, an Orthodox company that has the blessing, who has clergy, who there's a clergy advisory board. Proceed at your own risk if you want to go the other way. What do you think? And we just, together, create an ethos online where it's just, because guess what? as we saw last week, I mean, somebody came up with a list of, and most of them were laity. Here's all the Orthodox Twitter or X channels you should follow. Here's what, and everybody's giving their different one. Like, no, obviously I saw like one of them. I'm like, and people aren't online with the ears and eyes to the ground watching as much as I do. And like, I know all about, I hear all of the stuff these people are saying and the various issues to where I would actually make an informed judgment. I'm like, that person was just teaching something, saying something heretical last week, and keeps doing that over and over again. I recommend staying away from. God forbid I actually said that. And what happened? Lies, libel, slander, and dark trade moral. How dare a deacon say this is slander? I didn't slander you. I didn't say what you said. Again, isn't it the responsibility and duty and position of a clergy to be like, recommend? I didn't say I'm going to come hunt you down and on force and I'll shut off your internet and your electricity if you don't. I never said that. The Orthodox way is like clergy give advice. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but again, that's why we go to a consensus of all the different priests. But they're all saying avoid that person. Well, but if you say that, then you're the bad guy. And that's what happened with an individual. I'm the bad guy. How dare a deacon speak this way? You are not in a position to determine how a deacon or a priest should speak. And there's nothing in principle. In fact, just the opposite. It is the clergy that should be advising. I recommend you don't. I advise don't follow that. That person teaches heresy. That person has moral flaws. Proceed at your own risks. But nobody wants to be advised. Why? Because they have they're egotistical narcissists that have a Protestant mindset and a free market Americanism. Well, I should just be able to choose whatever Orthodox content I want. And how dare you, as a clergy member, possibly even advise this is good, this is not healthy. So, part of the responsibility and helping us clergy through this is for you to encourage the prescribed way, the normal, healthy way that we think about who to follow, where to get your content, who to support. That's my thoughts. I still have a lot more to think about. I'm taking to this clergy advisory and the other priests and be like, I've already had several conversations. It's hard. All of this is new territory. But all of it comes from a place of love. That it's like we want people to be healed. We want to make it as easy as possible to avoid the spiritual pitfalls and confusion and heresies and errors. Moving on. Let me just see. Covered a lot of good topics today. Let me see if we got any more super chats. I want to thank you so much for your support again. And for those of you who joined morning prayers. Yeah, awesome. The Patristic Nectar app has catechesis and different stuff too. They've done a fantastic job. What happened? Listen, my son, greetings from Philadelphia. Isn't that a great name? City of Brotherly Love. Philia Adelphos. Brotherly love. May we have more brotherly love. But sometimes love's harsh. Sometimes love isn't gentle and kind. Sometimes our parents gave us spankings, and sometimes our priests called it. I was telling somebody about this in my. You think I could be harsh? Like, I'm really gentle. My spiritual father, if your phone, I've seen if the phone went off and the literally stop it and you grab the phone and throw it out of the. Oh, he's so mean. And tell people straight to the face exactly what they need to be told. I don't know much about Metropolitan Hilarion, other than the scandals surrounding, but I have no kind of commentary. I really just, I don't know, to be honest. The only thing I could say is it probably wasn't a good idea to kind of have the look of. It seems to me that the accusations were probably false about what he was engaged in, but it doesn't help to kind of, as a bishop, to probably have the luxurious look that he did. Like, so again, as clergy, you have to be beyond reproach, and there's a look that one. So I could say probably that wasn't a good idea, but like beyond that, I don't know actually the details of. I used to do a weekly vlog cast out calling. I wanted to restart my channel. Yeah, I would say it's definitely is a catechumen or inquire. Don't. I wouldn't. You're free to do. Again, I remember at Montanica, multiple priests said this, but Metropolitan Jonah I was talking about some of these issues and when to recognize spiritual abuse. His lady, he said, if you have a priest telling you cannot do this, especially if they say you're not to associate with this other parish or those other Orthodox Christians, unless, and again, they certainly, even if it is like a cult, let's say they're a schismatic cult or there's some, right, certainly a priest should be able to say, like, you shouldn't, right? But if he says you can't, that's a cult, that's spiritual abuse. You're free to make mistakes. They just don't advise it. But certainly if it's, well, if they're not heretical, if they're associating, right, if they're trying to, I'm just trying to get an idea that he was talking about. If a priest is controlling you rather than advising you, like that's, Metropolitan Judge says run from, so the priest can't tell you as a catechumen, you can't do this. He could say advise. Now, of course, he can implement, like, if there's more serious stuff, consequences. Especially, let's say, if somebody was... I'm not saying you at all. I'm just thinking of some hypothetical where the priest actually does have to... Usually it's stuff, when he does have to say stuff, is if it involves legal stuff or if somebody's jeopardizing or threatening somebody in the parish or something like that. Like, I certainly think the priest has a right and duty to be like, look, if you engage in this kind of behavior, then you're not welcome to the chalice. You need to repent of, like, they can do stuff like that. But those are extreme things. Those are things that were people's lives within the parish are being jeopardized, or their spiritual lives, or like, stuff like that, practical kind of issues within one's parish. I think the priest probably has ability to do that. All right. How do you approach reading Aristotle and Plato, other philosophers for that matter, as a Christian? I don't know. That's a good... Don't be... Well, first of all, You should be reading them, if you can. But your orthodox paradigm, you read them in a way that you wouldn't abandon your orthodox. Your lenses for understanding truth is orthodoxy, but there's things that you can learn from Aristotle and Plato, and so you should be read it carefully and test it and think about. But yeah, I don't think it's a threat unless somebody's not grounded in their faith. I might be like, maybe, but it's not like Aristotle and Plato. I don't think anybody ever left the faith because they read Aristotle and Plato. Like, if anything, like the stuff they're saying probably point you in the direction of Christianity if you were non-Christian. So I don't see them being a problem. I don't know. It's really, Jay, but it's really hard for me to. I don't know all the nuances between your priest. Like, I can't really give a blanket, and I'm just a deacon too. Like I said, I'm taking that to people who are much more advanced and higher ranking than me. Um, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how he's. I'd have to actually be. I need more details. It's just too hard for me to, and I just don't feel comfortable as a deacon making a comment against another clergyman, even potentially. I would pass it up the chain of command, to be honest. I don't. And you can, again, I'm just a deacon. You can ask another priest, be like, does that sound abusive? And, they can guide you. I would just be, any advice that I give any of you guys isn't my own advice. It's coming from my spiritual father, Father Russell, or some of the clergy advisory board. Because I just don't trust myself. I'm not as experienced as them. I'm the lowest ranking of the priesthood. I'm just a deacon, right? So it's the proper order of the church that I pass those things up and get and hand down, right? The tradition of what? Um, yeah, probably. Practically. If you had a face tattoo, um, I mean, I don't think there's anything canonically, but I just think, like, in terms of the practicality, like, of I don't know. That's a weird. No pun intended. It would probably be a mark against you. It's not. There's only only like two things that would absolutely prohibit you from being, that is, a woman and non-orthodox. Even, murder, like, technically, even, or divorce, like, you're 99% you're not gonna get into the clergy, but, like, even then it's theoretically possible. But there's only two things that would make it impossible: being a woman or non-orthodox. All right, let's see. It's time for me to eat. And wait, somebody has it. And then get to my paper. I need to write that student back and be like, I don't know what you're talking. I don't even understand what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know what you're saying. Or I could just ignore it. Are you, like, tempted to just be like, All right. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for your support today. Please keep me in your prayers. We'll see you guys. You can throw in the Jim Bob link. Oh, hold on. Somebody has another question. I sent a message to you regarding how to make a donation from Montana in lieu of company clergy registration. Did you see it? Father Ron. Let's see. Did you send it to Patristic Faith? So many emails, I can't. I don't see anything from you, Father Ron. That's weird. Was it Father Ananias at Patristic Faith? Let me see. Or was it the... There's so many emails. One second. Maybe this one. I don't see it. There's another email that... So some goes to email at patristicfaith.com. There's also Father Ananias at Patristic Faith. You can always send in... Here's the Patristic Faith. What you could do right now... shoot. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can just put this up on... In the... What do you call it? I'm going to find it in the bio. Give me 1 second. Because it just goes into the Patristic Faith account that's listed. It should be listed in the bio for PayPal. That's the best way to... You can always just bring a check if you come. We take checks, but let me get the link. There, right here. So clergy, like I said, major clergy are free. Major Orthodox clergy are free. Suggested donation and an email to me to let me know if you're coming, and if you're bringing Matushka or family members, because I need to keep you in the registry so that and the numbers so I know how much food and stuff like that. My email is Father Ananias at Patristic Faith. Through the website. So it should have received... I got an email from Karen Weeks. That's not... I wonder if it came into a junk mail. When was the email sent? I'm not seeing anything. It's weird. Listen to junk mail. And I don't see anything in the Father Ananias. Weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just delayed. But thank you. Yeah. Just write again or. All right. Thank Crispy for putting in Jim Bob's. I'm heading out. And God bless all of you. Got to eat. Get back to work. Um, and till next time, I got to teach all day tomorrow. And then I think tomorrow night, my godfather and Father Hans are doing a thing with St. Paisios. They're having a priest come on to talk about whether there's any such thing as atheists, which I would always say there are no atheists. There's just those that say God does not exist. And anyway, so instead of going to the bluegrass, I think I'm gonna join the St. Paisios Brotherhood thing tomorrow night. So God bless all of you. Thank you so much for your support and for your donations. And please keep me and by Matushka and your prayers. And till next time, have fun over with Jim Bob. God bless.